Ahora nos vamos, bajamos del cielo y nos vamos a la tierra, a la orilla sur del Mediterráneo, de la mano de Amany Asfour, Egipto. Ella es la presidenta de la Asociación de Empresarias Egipcias. Yo creo que todas las que estamos aquí y todos los países del Mediterráneo estamos en deuda con Egipto, cuna de una de las grandes culturas de la civilización. En realidad el Mediterráneo en sí mismo es la cuna de las grandes culturas. Amany decía, además de presidenta de la Asociación de Empresarias Egipcias, es una firme luchadora del empoderamiento económico de las mujeres, es médico de profesión. Y la doctora, porque también la podemos llamar así, la doctora Asfour ha puesto en marcha con éxito importantes proyectos para el desarrollo de la actividad empresarial de las mujeres. Es tu tiempo, bienvenida y muchas gracias por estar en Valencia.
It really gives me a great pleasure to be among you here. Yes, because the Mediterranean basin is actually, we have the same culture. So being here in Spain today, thank you for the foundation, Professor Emmanuel. Last week, actually, I was in Sicilia, also for a Congress for Women Entrepreneurs and Business and Professional Women, where I felt home. And just 3 days ago in Egypt, I was organizing the Mediterranean Afro-Arab Congress for Business and Professional Women, with the main theme of economic empowerment and entrepreneurship promotion for women and youth, and support of small and medium enterprises for the post-2015 development agenda. I believe that coming together today is really very important, because if we really link the geopolitical agenda that's happening in the region and what happened with reference to all these political turmoil and the Arab uprising, it is crucial to understand that economic growth and economic prosperity is a real reason for what happened in the region. If we're talking actually about how we can talk about, this is our Mediterranean basin, and how we are very close to each other. And how actually that women entrepreneurs and owners of SMEs across the Mediterranean have a lot of potential to cooperate and play in the role of the economic growth. The bridge is our Mediterranean. You see that, the Mediterranean linking Europe to Africa with the south of Mediterranean and North Mediterranean. It is very important to understand that we are the ones who link the two together, Africa and Europe. You see, these are the women who are really crossing the Mediterranean. They are desperate. They are coming from their countries, and it's now the Mediterranean is cemetery for those who have no hope in their countries. They have no hope of any economic growth, unemployment, no participation, and they are very desperate. We don't want the Mediterranean to be a cemetery for those people or those women who are crossing Mediterranean. We want the Mediterranean to be a real glory for what can we do and how can we really empower our women and youth across Mediterranean, not to have Mediterranean as cemetery, but to have a Mediterranean as economic pool. If we have the interrelation between the social and economic justice and political stability in the Mediterranean stable, all of you have seen the Arab uprising. And this was the Egyptian revolution, the power of change in January 2011. Everybody come on the streets. You have witnessed it. These are our women who went to the streets seeking for change, political change, for democracy. But what led to the uprising, actually? It was unemployment. It was poverty. It was no political participation. There was no hope, no voice, and there was illiteracy and poverty. These are the main reasons why we went in the streets in January. But why the revolution in Egypt and North Africa? Because of social and economic justice, because of democracy, because of no good governance. But what went wrong? Why did we do our second revolution in Egypt? Actually, At first, there were no reflection of any economic empowerment to the youth, to the women, to the rural women at the grassroots. There was only one sector that having all the prosperity and not reflected to all the governments. But you see, this is our second revolution, 2013. Why did we come again to the streets? Why did you see all cities went? 33 million people were in the streets in the second revolution, because we understand that what happened is that there was hijacking of our revolution. The people who came to power were not for economic prosperity. They were not for the democracy, but they came only with one agenda, is to really divide us. And there was no political participation, there was no democracy, there was no economic growth. And when they came, they used religion, which has nothing to do with politics. Religion is away from politics. Islam always empowered all the religions coming from God, empowered all human beings. But when they used religion to really say misinterpretation, we did not allow it in Egypt. We did not allow it because they went to mosque and say women should not work, they should not be educated, they should stay at home. And we said no, women should be part of the economy, women should work, we have a role, we have a say. So that is why all of us, all women, even women at the grassroots, we went in the street and we removed this regime which was promoting women to stay at home. This was not religion, this was a political agenda. That's why 33 million people went in the street, because there was violation of laws, there was discrimination by religion and gender, there was bad governance, there was exclusion and no participation, and actually there was lack also of economic growth. Because when they came to power, they said they will bring bread on the table. They didn't do that. So everybody felt Egypt will go down. That's why we revolted against them. And we had actually our new elections, which actually brought Egypt again to the circular, brought Egypt again to be, and we passed our constitution. Women voted yes for our new constitution, which states about gender equality. States that there is no discrimination between men and women, no discrimination by religion, no discrimination whatsoever. That's why we went again. And it's now our role as women, as men, as partners of development, government, civil society, private sector, for the economic growth, for the real economic growth. So how can we really do it? Because there are a lot of challenges with women entrepreneurs and a lot of women coming with lack of awareness, lack of networks, limited access to market, limited access to business development centers, and experience. So actually what we are doing now in Egypt as part of the Mediterranean is really a project for economic empowerment of women. One of the case studies that I want to share with you is called Women Business Development Center and Business Incubator. What do we mean by that? Our mission is actually to promote economic empowerment of women through support of micro, small, and medium enterprises. And what are our goals? Our goals is creation of jobs and employment. Our goal is promoting the entrepreneurial culture for the economic empowerment of women, because when you economically empower women, they will have access to education, access to health care, their children will have access to education and health care. They will not cross the Mediterranean because they are poor. They will not cross the Mediterranean because they have no unemployment. So actually, this is for all of us as a benefit of the economic empowerment for women. Our target groups actually is the startups of business. When young are graduated, where would they go? There is no employment. It's how you promote them to start their own businesses, how you help those informal sector or the micro enterprise to grow to be small, medium, and large. How the women actually with companies have open markets here in Mediterranean to have access to new markets. And we also have special target groups, which is the women in the informal sector who have no company, but they have a talent, so we promote them. Or youth who are just graduate of universities and looking for ideas to start their businesses, or women at the rural and the grassroots areas. So our strategy actually for women empowerment, I call it the triad of empowerment. It's a 3 pillars, 3P. The first pillar is the people, how you empower the personality, the women, to be able to lead an enterprise, to deal with bank, to deal with her team, to have her build her capacity to be able to start her own company. The second pillar actually is the policy. What does the government do to put the legislation to empower the women? What do we have? Do we have any allocation for women to start their own businesses? Do we have any allocation for policies? One of the policies, just 3 days ago, we were working with ITC, International Trade Center, which is a UN agency, to have special percentage of all the government procurement goes to small and medium enterprises, women and youth. What do we mean by that? If here the government of Italy or Spain or Egypt, the government is the big purchaser. Part of these tenders, of this purchase, should go to small and medium enterprises, not to multinational companies, not to big companies. So we worked with the government now to promote that at least 30% of all government procurement goes to small and medium enterprises, women and youth. This is part of how we economically empower the women. The third pillar is the product. If we want to open new market, we have to have a good product. So we have to empower women actually to have a good competitive product, so we help them for product development. How to make branding, designing, packaging. And actually this about what should we do as civil society organization empowering women? To have awareness and access to information, to have education for the women, building capacity for women, training, young entrepreneurship promotion and mentorship program. We as women also entrepreneurs have made it, so how we can empower the youth to mentor the young, to be able to have a good and prosperous future. How we have access to financial resources. Is there special allocated funds for youth, for women, for SMEs to be able to start their businesses? Because going to conventional banks is very, very, very difficult for the women and for the youth. Access to technology, we just heard about the tsunami of the digital era. We have to empower our women and youth to be able to use new technology to be open to the world. Technical assistance, advocacy, all of us are advocating. This conference is advocacy for our presence in the Mediterranean, to empower our women in economy, empower women who are in civil society, empower women in culture. It's all related. We cannot, it's not separated. All of us have to come together to advocate for the real empowerment of women and youth. And we also have to have some projects that could we, as Mediterranean, could have a mutual project that would empower our people on the ground. So our project in Egypt, we have a training center that we train young women and women who have SMEs. We have a business incubator where we host the young entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. So here, the external training center, we have already, every year we are training 650 women entrepreneurs or youth. And we have actually small and medium enterprises, young women who want to start their businesses. And we have, this is a business incubator where the young woman who wants to start her own business, we give her a small desk, we give her all the tools, we help her to start her own company, we help her to have all the logistic needs, to have premises for her company, to have services related to marketing, services related to legislation, all what she really needs, we mentor her. Because this is our role. Actually, this is young women who had their own businesses, and we help them to start their own businesses. For us, we also as networks, it's very important as networking to come together to make the exhibition and first for the women products. And it's also very important to make awareness for youth. This is how we make awareness for the youth in universities. We go to them and tell them about the entrepreneurial culture, about how to start their own businesses. We also go to the rural, because not all of us are empowered and are here. There are women who are farmers, who are in the rural areas, who are places that they don't have a voice, they don't have a language, they cannot access. Actually, we are their voice. We have to go to them. We have to explain to them. That's why we go and we make a small projects. This is one of the projects. We do it in south of Egypt, which is dried tomato. I think it is very popular across Mediterranean, but this dried tomato comes from south of Egypt that we're helping them to have it. And we have also developed new technology, which is a solar dryer that can dry up to 100 kilos of tomato. This is a very small practical examples, but it links up to our global agenda, which is actually, and this is a recycled solar dryer that they can dry 5 kilos. How does this relate to what we are talking about democracy and good governance? I have a theory I call, to achieve real democracy, we have to empower our people, because there is the menu. What is the real democracy? It is not freedom of expression. It's the power of expression. It's the power of your choice and voice. So if we're talking about democracy, what is the menu of democracy? I just have a theory which I call, when you go to a restaurant and you have a menu, in this menu, there are 2 factors which gears your choice. Number 1, if you have this written in French and you don't understand French, immensé de vœux, cordon bleu, whatever, if you don't understand what is written in this menu, you cannot have your real choice. You are free to choose, but if you don't understand, how can you choose? So this is the whole issue of your education, your knowledge. The second issue on the menu is the price. You are free to choose, but if you cannot afford the price to buy what you want, how can you choose? You cannot. So financial independence is another factor which achieves real democracy. So real democracy cannot achieve except with education and knowledge and financial independence. Because those people who came to power in the 1 year that we revolted against them, they went to people, gave them food, and they tell them, vote for us. This is not the real choice. They told them, if you don't vote for us, you go to hell. What has hell and heaven does with choice? They are not educated. They are illiterate people. They are poor people. So they are manipulated. Even if you see about all the terrorist movements that's happening now in the world, with the Boko Haram, with the Shabab in Somalia, you know, which are killing people in Kenya. Al-Shabab means youth. Youth in English, Al-Shabab in Arabic. Those youth have no participation. They have non-employment. If you give them a gun and you tell them, go and kill yourself, we will give you $50, they will accept it. Not because they don't want, but because they are deprived from the real basic life, from the basic needs, from having a quality of life of people. So if we really want to achieve real democracy, we have to work on the financial independence, on the knowledge and education of the people, so they cannot be manipulated by anybody. Our real methodology of doing this is to come together, to educate people, to raise awareness, to build linkages. That's why one of the conferences we are doing is the Mediterranean Afro-Arab Congress for Women Entrepreneurs that we held last week in Egypt, and we are holding it every year to come together from all over Mediterranean, Arab world, Africa, and link together our real strength of economic empowerment. It's really about, and we invite you, we just finished our Congress last week, but it's going to happen every year. Maybe the foundation would like to collaborate with us, because it's coming, we were 300 women coming together, getting the roadmap for economic empowerment of women and youth across Mediterranean, Africa, and the Arab world, because we are all linked together. Women coming and youth from Africa, crossing North Africa through Mediterranean to coming to Europe. That's how we come together. And actually, what is our real objectives to come together? It's building partnership, it's networks, it's joint markets together, it's having database for our women entrepreneurs to open market and small and medium enterprises. It's about real business networking. It's about actually having information about each other, about the work. So actually, our recommendation for fostering our Mediterranean trade is to have information center for trade and opening markets. It's about having networking, building all our women entrepreneurs coming together, women in civil society, women in culture. It's all how to come together. It's about creation of networks, creation even of cultural we have a lot of cultural understanding among each other. That's one of the things we do. Before our Congress, we do a one-day cross-cultural understanding for women empowerment. Because understanding each other is the way of coming together. Don't get your information from the media. The media is stereotyping the women in veil, stereotyping the women who call themselves whatever. The real thing is to come together face to face. The real thing is to really approach the women themselves on the ground. We, in Egypt, there is a lot of, we are majority Muslim, but Islam doesn't hinder us, neither of education, neither of empowerment politically or economically. What's happening is having another thing which is not related to religion. It's related to political agenda in the region. That's why coming together is really very, very important. And that's why I always say, why economic empowerment across the Mediterranean? To achieve financial independence. Why? To have the power of choice and voice. If we are really economically empowered, if we are really having economic prosperity, we have our own choice, we have our own voice. Nobody will come to tell us, vote for this or vote for that. Nobody will come and manipulate us and tell us, if you don't vote for this, you go to hell or you go to heaven. We understand very well that democracy should happen with the people themselves, with the choice of them, with the need. So having our power and choice and voice is the way of achieving democracy, a way of achieving actually our stability in the Mediterranean region, our stability across the whole world, and combating these terrorist acts which take religion as a reason and has nothing to do with the religion. So our goal is economic empowerment of women through support of small and medium enterprises. Our slogan is financial independence, give you the power of choice and voice. Our message is young women entrepreneurship promotion. And our project in Egypt, we call it Hatshepsut Business Development Center and Business Incubator. Why? Because Hatshepsut is our role model. She was empowered thousands of years ago. She ruled Egypt 15th century, and she was the golden, at her age, it was golden age of Egypt. She was the first registered businesswoman in history. She did trade all over between Egypt, the Horn of Africa, and Asia. And she had a lot, actually, to talk about. So women were empowered thousands of years ago in the Mediterranean. Women have a role to play. And in order to really achieve our real economic independence, and we have to empower our women and youth. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias a ti, Amany, por tu pasión y por la claridad de todas las ideas que has compartido aquí con nosotros.